Hello and welcome to the first episode of Bucket Questions. So, I've got a question here from the bucket. This one's an easy one to start with. What is your favorite Pokemon? Durr! The answer is, of course, Charizard, as everybody knows. Obviously, why would anybody have a different Pokemon that they called a favorite? Okay, the next question that I picked out is, why do they call red onion a red onion if it's purple? And the answer is not honestly really a science question. It's actually a cultural question. It has to do with the way that different cultures label and perceive color. This is the approximate electromagnetic spectrum. For those of you guys that remember going over wavelength, here are the relative wavelengths. Remember, a nanometer is 0.000000001 meters. And so these are wavelengths that are bouncing off of objects and hitting our eye. Now, how many colors do you see? If you are like most Americans and probably most modern Europeans as well, you probably answer 7. But is there really 7 colors there? Where does one color end and one color begin? Let's take a look at this region right here. Where does red end and orange begin? Where does green end and blue begin? And where does blue end and violet begin? Are they obvious? They're not as obvious to some people. Some people see a really distinct line right about here for where blue soup really is, and there's no doubt that that's blue. Some people don't see that. The only reason why our culture recognizes 7 rainbow colors is honestly because of Isaac Newton. You guys remember Isaac Newton, right? Newton of Newton's Laws of Physics class. Whoops. Newton was one of the first European scientists to sit all alone in his house and figure out science, which maybe we're all doing right now because of the virus. Anyway, he kind of figured out all the physics of prisms and light splitting and light acting as a wave and all that kind of stuff, and he decided that when he used his prism and split the light that he could see 6 distinct colors. But Newton was weirdly superstitious, and he didn't like the number 6. He thought that 7 was a much luckier number, and he wanted there to be 7 colors. So he invented the idea of indigo, which nobody really talked about before Newton decided that it was a thing and write it down. Now, some cultures don't recognize the so-called 7 colors of the rainbow. Some of them only recognize 3. Some cultures start out with it's either black or it's white, and if it's neither of those, it's red. Some cultures recognize more than that. Some cultures pretty much make a dividing line between the cool colors and the warm colors, and they have a name for this set is one color and that set is another color. And so the ability to see red versus purple isn't necessarily because you are or are not colorblind. It all depends on how your culture has defined those colors. Some people think that the color, I missed with my arrow a little bit, let me try again, that the color right in here, this sort of deep red maroon color, to some people that's kind of purple, and to some people this really deep purple is kind of red, and not because their eyes work differently, but that's just because that's the colors they've been taught. And so red onions are called red onions because a long, long time ago, in whatever culture they were figured out in, the color purple didn't really exist for them. Everything in the cool region would have probably been called blue. And so the color that they were seeing seemed closer to this color, which they called red. The next question that I have in the bucket is why, that was weird, okay, why does chugging a liter bottle of Mountain Dew feel so good? And here is the answer. Well, first of all, let's look at the label. So here I've pulled up a label, of a typical 20-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew. I know it says liter, but that's darned close. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scroll down the ingredients. Now, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but when you look at the ingredients on a product label, the first ingredient is the ingredient that there's the most of. And so that means the most of a bottle of Mountain Dew is made up of water, carbonated water. But look at number 2, high fructose corn syrup. That means sugar. Corn syrup is a form of sugar. The next is concentrated orange juice, citric acid, and so on. And now if we scroll back up to the actual nutrition labels, per container of your 20 fluid ounce, you have 77 grams of sugars, grams of carbs. Well, carbs, but it's all sugar. This right here is 77 grams of sugar. And so if you chug a 20-ounce Mountain Dew, this is how much sugar you are putting in your system at one go. It's disgusting. That's a lot of sugar. That's really, really nasty. So that is why it feels so good, so to speak, is because you are having a massive sugar rush. Now, sugar is, like I said, the second ingredient, and keep going down the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7th ingredient is caffeine. So the caffeine will make you feel energetic as well, although it is not really energy per se in the biological sense of the way that sugar is. What caffeine does is it affects your brain cells that are responsible for determining alertness versus tiredness. And it kind of shuts off, let's try to put this, it kind of shuts down the ability for your brain to sense the tiredness chemicals. And so you feel more alert, but it's not true energy. The sugar kicks in right away. The caffeine kicks in after about 30 to 60 minutes. Now I'm going to also answer another bucket question that tends to go along with Mountain Dew. And the question is, hey, Woodman, I heard that Mountain Dew can make men infertile to actually reduce your sperm count. No, my goodness, no, of course not. That's ridiculous. Why would it do that? Well, oh, it's got a weird color. Oh, it must be some strange toxic chemical. No, let's look at it. Water. Sugar, totally normal. Concentrated orange juice. Okay, maybe that's part of the color. Geez, probably is. Orange juice has a color. Citric acid, that's in most sodas. Natural flavors. Sodium benzoate for freshness. Caffeine, sodium citrate. Erythorbic acid. I think it's erythorbic acid for freshness. Just 'cause it's got a scary name doesn't mean it's toxic. It's just a science word. Gum arabic, that's for consistency of the solution and kind of holding everything in place. Calcium disodium EDTA to protect flavor. Brominated vegetable oil. Again, some of these things are just to just for consistency of texture and flavor. And then yellow number 5. That's a standard everyday food color. There is nothing scary in Mountain Dew, and there's nothing particularly special about it that makes it different from other sodas, except it might have a tad more sugar than your average soda. So no, Mountain Dew isn't toxic. It's not going to do anything scary to any of the cells in your body. No scarier than any other soda will do, but you really don't want that much sugar at once. You're just going to burn through it and then crash, and it's really not healthy for you. If you're going to go for carbs, go for complex carbs, and the ones that take a little bit longer to digest, those will do you much better in the long run. Okay, this has been episode 1 of Bucket Questions, and see you again next week.